Isn't my mic on? My mic's on. I'm glad they weren't on. Thank you, John. That was very kind of you. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to City Life. I'm Linda Bown. I'm going to be your host. I have Lindsey Dunlevy Tosto from Tewksbury. A lot of you will know her as Lindsey Dunlevy, but she was recently married, and she's running for selectman in Oz, of all places. So I'm very interested in see how you're going to improve Oz, because I thought it was perfect.
Yes, I just heard the Oz comparison, and I'm very intrigued by it.
Well, yes, I've always heard all the wonderful things, and I know Mark we're always getting postings of what's going on in Tewksbury, and just the way you design things, the schools, and you have a lot of public involvement, it seems.
Yes, we do. Yeah, the schools was a big thing. I was actually in the last graduating class of the old high school. That building had a lot of character. You know, we loved it for what it was, but I will say that last year, every rainstorm, every snowstorm, you were just wondering where the buckets would be because they were pretty much in every hall. The new high school is beautiful. It's like a college campus.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, it's really, really nice. They did a great job, and it was definitely needed. I haven't been in the new center school, but from the outside, it looks great.
You do a lot of things. Now, how many positions are up for selectmen?
So there's 2 seats open, and there's 4 of us running.
Okay. And what are your issues? Something obviously triggered you that you wanted to run this year.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot.
So, ladies, the audience
It's
is on
over
the
there.
monitor. So if you could look at each other on the monitor, it looks much better.
I've been
on
doing
TV.
this for over 10 years, and every time he says, Linda, could we look at that? I try, John. All right.
Okay, please
I
look
will.
at the monitor.
I will look
Thank you.
this way. I'm so used to just talking.
No,
to my
I
left.
know. It's a terrible thing.
So, repeat
Now.
your question, Linda, sorry.
What was my question? Oh, yeah. What triggered you to run at this particular time?
Yeah. So once, well, you know, the 2 seats were open. Obviously, you know, Mark's seat was up, and then once Jane Wellman stepped down, I figured, you know, it was time to start getting involved in the community. You know, I've been a part of it for so long. You know, me and my husband moved back, and I saw what was going on in town. A lot of great things, but then definitely some changes that are needed. I think, you know, a lot of the candidates have spoken about it, but you know, it's probably one of the top issues in town right now, is our water. I think everybody hears about all of our water main breaks. You know, people not having clean water, which is, you know, is something that everybody should have. So you know, I've been doing a lot of learning. I'm not a water expert by any means. I have a lot of learning to do. But from what I know, you know, we kind of neglected some of the maintenance of the water lines for a pretty long time. So, you know, it's come to a point where we have a lot to fix. I think the biggest issue we're running into is how are we going to fund it? You know, it's a pretty big overhaul. So we just got to find the money. You know, we've got to find a way to fund it without putting the burden on the tax residents. So I think one of the main things when I get in is working with other board members, you know, working with other departments to try to come up with a plan that makes sense. The board has done a good job. You know, they've tried to move it along. They've increased the budget for it, but there's just too many pipelines that need to be fixed. So.
Well, and as you get involved, you find that there are so many things that do need. The roads are huge. The roads are always an issue. So you get some big items, and you get into whether you need a new, like in Tewksbury, we need a new fire station. We need a lot of different things. We're building a school now, and so it you know, how much burden do you put on the taxpayer?
Yeah, I think that's the line, you know. Tewksbury unfortunately also has very high water rates, so it's tough to say, you know, we're going to be increasing those, we're going to, you know, increase somewhere else. So whether it's grants, whether it's trying to find some, you know, low interest loans, there's got to be a resource because, you know, at the rate that we're currently going, by the time we're done fixing, we're going to be at the very beginning. We're going to have to kind of start over.
So they're not, plus you don't have any issues with the stormwater, do you? Combination of drainage going, are you familiar with any of that?
I don't believe so. I think, so we put, from my understanding, and I remember it from when I was a kid when they were fixing all the sewage stuff, we put a lot of money into like that stuff earlier, like, you know, I think early 2000s, but I don't know as much about that. But as far as I know, I think that's okay.
Okay, so
I think it's just mainly aging water pipes.
that's good to know because the sewage and the stormwater have become a big issue. The feds came out with all kinds of regulations, but they didn't fund them. And so it's costing all the communities a lot to deal with that. And between that and the water, and water is always an issue. I mean, I unfortunately have Drake water, which is the bane of my existence. But again, it's an old system, and I know what you're talking about. The pumps, the pipes in the ground are just a disaster, and they didn't put them in with the anticipation of the growth that you must have out there.
Yeah, I think that's a big problem. I mean, Tewksbury has expanded tenfold, even since I left for, a little while. I went to college. I lived in the city for a while, came back. And I mean, when I came back, there was a lot of changes. So I'm
Where'd
sure
you go
that.
to college?
University of New Hampshire.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I loved it up there. Durham is a really, really great campus.
Yeah, New Hampshire has some great colleges up there. We were talking earlier. Dorian went to Colby Sawyer in New London, and it's just lovely. It's nice up there. So, what did you study?
Finance and accounting.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, well, now that's a good background.
Yeah, I'm a CPA.
No kidding.
Yep.
All right. So you'll understand the budgets.
Yes, I'm very, very good with numbers.
Well-
That's where I'll thrive.
Budgets are very, very hard to, you must know then, it's very easy to, once you know how to read a budget, to cut through and get it, because you'll get 100 pages and you can't be reading 100 pages, really. You have to know where to look and,
Oh, yeah.
and what's really important and and that's an art in itself. So
Yeah.
being a CPA is going to be a big help for you. So now, how's your school system going as far as problems with money?
I think, and as it is in most towns, I think, our school budget is the largest one that we have. I'm not as familiar with the school happenings, but I did meet, I was lucky to meet with some of the school committee members, Bridget Garabedian and Kayla. They filled me in on some of the stuff that's going on, but I would definitely defer to them for a lot of those issues and would love to discuss with them, anything that they think is important or anything that's going on.
So you don't need a new school. Well, you've been pretty good with planning your schools in Tewksbury.
Yeah, there's going to be some changes coming at the. There was a committee put together at the most recent select board they presented, the select board meeting, about, because there's with the center school being built, we obviously have the high school, we have the center school, we have some issues with the other schools that we have. So there needs to be a plan in place of whether we will be building a new school, whether we'll be holding on or adding on to an existing school. There's some big decisions to be made, and that's what that committee was put together. They kind of came forward and said, we think we need to bring in, an outside resource to take a look at the buildings, see what's feasible. Can the WIN handle being added onto? Can, another school handle being added onto, or is our best course creating a new school? So there will be some grades switch up at some point in the future.
Well, so you haven't had any loss in students. I know that we did, and Tingsboro always had a decrease in the public schools.
Yeah, no, I don't believe so.
Well, you wouldn't in Oz, of course. How foolish of me.
Well, I think definitely that new high school, I'm sure, was, a pretty big pull. I think before that, it wasn't, the most ideal place for people to go. But, our school system's definitely come a long way.
So the water is the big issue, and of course it is,
Yes.
in quality of life. And that maybe you can get some grants for it. Maybe you can get some. One of the things that a city doesn't understand is that we in the towns end up paying a lot of money in our school system. That takes a huge.
Well, I think Tewksbury's big asset is there is a lot of transparency. The reason people are aware of the water issue is everybody gets a text when a water main breaks.
Yeah.
In Lowell, shh, don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
There's water bubbling out of the street.
Oh, same in Tingsboro.
Just ignore that. Until it's a full-size stream coming out of that hole, we're going to ignore it. And that's how Lowell rolls. How does Tingsboro roll?
That's the same thing. I'm on Glendale Avenue, at the other side of Glendale. It was just like that, bubbling a couple of years. Drake,
Ignore
it's just all it is complain about Tingsboro is using too much water. Well, yeah, it's running down the road. Catch it if you can.
In Tewksbury, when they see a little bubbling thing, they know it's going to get worse quick.
Well, you've got a lot of industrial.
So we get a text. So I think that's one of the things that Tewksbury does that no other town does that I know of.
Well, again, and also Tewksbury, I'll go back to the fact that they're very active. I mean, they're always doing something in the community that I don't see. We have our block party, which is lovely, but there
Well,
aren't.
Tewksbury had their electronic sign before you had your electronic sign.
Oh, yeah.
The electronic sign does help the general public to know, hey, we're having a party next weekend.
Oh, yeah, because everyone drives by it, it sticks out.
And Lowell doesn't, but we don't want that electric sign.
Why don't you have one?
Tommy Golden doesn't have a friend that makes them. When Tommy Golden has a friend that makes the electronic signs, we'll get one.
All righty.
I don't have any faith in the city manager.
Well, I don't know where
I'm
you'd
not
put
asking you
it.
to participate, Lindsay. This is one of my hobbies.
Yeah. I wonder where you'd put it, even if you had one. See, it's easy in Tingsboro. We put it at the bridge. You know.
We have
Tewksbury
a
had-
whole bunch
we
of
do the
electronic
same.
signs that we hide. We already bought them. We just hide them.
Oh, you're kidding me.
We don't use them.
Wow. You know, they were talking about possibly doing something downtown. We'll talk to Corey about that in the summer. To kind
The
of.
bridges get used a lot. And
Yeah.
we'll talk Lowell stuff on a Lowell day. Today, we're talking about
Yeah.
Tewksbury.
Right now in Tewksbury. Yeah.
But Tewksbury has an electronic sign. You got to stop in the center of town. There's a big, gigantic stoplight there. Everybody's got to stop. And you read the electronic sign. Tingsboro, you got your famous bridge. Perfect spot. You put your electronic. People got to stop at that light. Oh, what is the town doing?
Yeah.
Big help.
I didn't think I was going to like it. I was not a support, and I love it. I do love it now. It's not. It's. I thought it was going to be really like a rowing, ostentatious thing. It's not at all. It's very informative. Colin, we have a wonderful town manager. Are you happy with your town manager?
Yeah, he's new. You know, he kind of got pulled in during, a very busy time. You know, the budget is obviously one of the biggest things during the year. But I think John's doing a good job so far. I haven't met him personally yet. But, yeah, I guess one thing, that I saw that he had already done is, I've been attending the Selectboard meetings, and they were talking about our water rates were potentially going to be going up to, I think it was 11.5%. But he was able to kind of find some money, and hopefully the plan will be to there'll only be 6.5%. So, he's working hard. Seems like he's really getting involved. I think I loved the story that you told the other day, John, about that meeting that he handed out the
Yeah,
business card.
I went to the Wilmington Tewksbury Chamber of Commerce meeting. Sorry, it's blurry. I didn't hit a button today, but so I'm sitting in the meeting gets over, and I had never met Karen. I knew John Karen was the manager out in Billerica, but we don't go to Billerica, so I never engage with any Billerica politics because we don't. City Life doesn't do Billerica, so now he's Tewksbury. So well, I'm going to shake the guy's hand, and he gives me his card. And he says, if I can help you with anything, call me. And his phone number's on the card. So I've been a hobbyist in media since the 80s, probably longer than you've been alive, okay? And I've never had a town manager or city manager with such a positive attitude. There's John Curran.
I love to
Impressed.
hear that.
Very impressed.
Yeah.
Well, we have Colin and Tingsboro.
But this guy, out of the blues, never met the guy. He stands up and gives me his card.
That is amazing. That would be
So
someone you
maybe
really
next
need.
time Colin comes, he'll give me his card. I'm just kidding. This guy, Colin Loisel, he's the manager of Tingsboro. He's buddy with Linda. So he comes in like once every month, once every 6 weeks. And, oh, what a wonderful man he is. He's really good. Town manager from Chelmsford, he comes too. The city manager from Lowell is afraid to come. And maybe we'll ask Karen if he wants to come sometime. We'll see what happens.
I bet he would. He seems like a very friendly guy.
Well, it's interesting because then, although I have to say, the people that do come in, like the counselors like you, anyone that comes in, we don't hold back. If I have a question, I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
You know, they take them. I'm very kind. John really gives it to them, and
John
so,
asks
and
tough
I'm,
questions.
you
Yeah,
know,
I can chew them.
good
up
cop,
pretty
bad cop. I'm the good cop, of course. He's the.
Well, in Lowell,
I picked a great day then.
Lowell manages to, I use a term called power piss government funds away. Lowell gets $17 or maybe $18,000 per student in Lowell, and we manage to piss all that away. All the federal funds that Lori Trahan gets for us, gone, spent. State funds, anything that the state reps can squeeze out of the state government, we get rid of that. We have a higher tax rate than Drake does. Drake It's famous because, honestly, God, Drake It, I love him. I hang around with a lot of Drake-iteers. And John Zimmerman put it best. He said, we're cheap. And I said, John, no, the word's frugal. He says, no, we're not wasting any letters. We're cheap. And it's just Lowell has a terrible management problem. And there's way too many people working on the second, third, and fourth floor of City Hall.
Well, it's like the federal
$100,000 a
government.
year.
Top heavy.
It's like you look at Lowell City Hall, closes at noontime on Friday. At noontime, it looks like the building's on fire. And they all hop in their cars, and they hate the traffic to get out of Lowell. They don't work here. They don't live here.
Oh, wow.
They get in their cars and drive out to suburbia. And so I resent that, but it is what it is. Back to Tewksbury. I can.
Do you hire people from Tewksbury? Do you know as a rule?
I don't know. Is there any requirement for, if you're where you're working and versus where you're living, or
See,
not?
I am
really?
an advocate for you work for the town, you live in the town.
You think you'd be able to kind of know about more of the day to day if you're living where you're working.
And I'm an advocate
What's a
for that
commitment?
because
Yeah.
you care about, if I borrow your car, I'm not going to treat it as nicely as my car. Just not gonna. When you have a rent-a-car, and say you go to a seminar in Australia, and you have a rent-a-car, you don't care about the car at all. And it's just, when you have a job and it's not your city, and you're always looking for jobs that pay you more money in another town, there's no roots, there's no emotion, it's just a job. So I think that if you're a townie, you love the town. And I'd rather have townies as employees. That's my personal preference.
Yeah, I can agree with that sentiment. I think it is important to have ties, in some way, shape, or form. It gives you the emotional tie to what's going on. You really care, about the
Like this
town.
guy, Colin Loisel, the town manager of Tewksbury. He lives in Boston, but he loves Tewksbury. And I can tell just by his emotion when I meet the guy, he's one of the exceptions to the rule. But so many people who just have a desk job, pencil pushing, playing on the keyboard all day, doing their job, they have no roots of emotion for the community that they're serving. And I think it's important.
Well, he does. See, the thing is,
Colin is one of the
yeah.
exceptions.
Well, and he was originally from the area, so I think that I think eventually he'll come back. Well, I don't know where his wife. That becomes an issue. If you have
give
a
us a
spouse
second
with it,
other.
yeah, it's not just your decision. So you have several issues. It looks like here.
Yes, I brought
so
my notes.
You brought your notes about the water. The water sounds like a big issue, and it's going to be a financial issue. So what else is going on that has caused you to run?
So this was not on my original platform. It wasn't something that, I guess I knew about it just because I know about town, but I wasn't aware of it. But it's been brought to my attention a couple times, so I figured, it's something good to talk about. It's something I definitely will be looking into. So we don't have a recreation department. We have the rec center on Livingston.
Really?
And we have various organizations like youth sports. Like we have a bunch of different organizations, but no central recreation department. And that's been a big thing that's been brought up to me, by various people. I think a rec department, I believe we have a line in the budget for a rec director. We just haven't hired one.
Okay.
So I think that's something that, we need to start looking into and maybe moving forward with. I think it would be great to work with surrounding towns that do have robust recreation departments. I know like Wilmington does, I believe Belanger and Reading do as well. So I think being able to work with those towns, get ideas from them, see how they did it, how they do certain things and how it works for them. Because I think it'd be great. I think from what I've heard, some of our younger ages, we don't really have programs for them, which, young families are looking for that. Along those lines, we also, I've been seeing Tewksbury, it's funny, but a great way to get some Tewksbury knowledge is the Facebook groups. We have like a Tewksbury Residents group, there's Tewksbury Connected. People really use those, for questions
Oh,
and
I know they do.
comments. Yeah. Not always super, some, it can go
Yeah.
a little crazy, but, Anyway, so I've seen some comments about, having adult classes, which, is something that the recreation department could look into, like maybe classes on estate planning or taxes or, various things that the residents would like to, learn about or take classes in town.
Do you have a council on aging?
Yes.
Yes, they do.
Yes.
So they
Beautiful
must
senior
do
center.
some of that, I assume.
But this is a good question. Speaking of Tewksbury, it's not Vegas, it's Oz.
I do love the Tux Vegas.
No, there's no chance. You're not taking a chance to move to Tewksbury. It's Oz. It's a great place to live. Who is the wizard in the land of Oz? I would say the town manager is the wizard.
I would agree.
Yeah, although he's new, right?
He is new.
But I don't know because I have to say, when I started with the whole Oz thing, you have to me, so much going on. There's always something. There's family things going on. So I'm shocked that you don't have a recreation department because it's all I've seen. I see it posted here all the time.
They have a gigantic playfield for the kids, a nice
Right.
building, and it's well utilized.
Well,
I don't
that's what
know-
I'm saying.
I don't know how it's organized.
I don't know how that's organized then, because there's always something going on. The fire department's running something, the police department's running something, and it's in that complex. And so I just assumed that you had someone, who is the person that's doing all that? Because somebody has to be, I don't know if you have a group of volunteers that,
Well, I know the youth, so for the fields that are on Livingston, my understanding, I believe, that is the youth sports group that handle the fields. The rec center itself, I'm not sure who handles. So the rec center used to be the one that's like right on Livingston, right next to the tennis courts and now pickleball courts. It used to be a lot more utilized, but it needs some upgrades. It has not changed
Okay.
in a very long time. So it's old. It's old, it's aging. It could definitely probably use some upgrades, which, maybe bringing in the rec department is something that they could look into.
maybe it's the Veterans Day, because you have a lot of patriotic events.
Yes, we have we have Memorial Day, we have, obviously we do the fireworks, we do have a lot of things going on in town. I know, the senior center, they do a lot, they put on a lot of programs.
Okay, maybe that's it.
Yeah, so there is, we do have a lot going on in town, but there's no centralized, as far as I understand, there's no centralized management.
That's interesting, because they also, very nice sun, yes, it is.
I got page 2 here. Any
Right.
good donut shops in Tewksbury?
Oh, Donna's. Donna's is the number one donut shop around, and no one's going to tell me
Oh, really?
otherwise. They
That's
have
great.
the best donuts. Oh, we go
Delicious.
twice a week. It's bad.
Delicious. Yeah, out in Tewksbury, Donna's Donuts is the place
Is
to
it
go.
on 38?
Yes.
Right by it's closer to Wilmington.
It's by the
Oh, I
wholesale
know where it
market
is,
basket.
okay, I know where it is.
Yeah.
It's a big town, you've got a lot of commercial property in
Got a lot
Tewksbury.
of good restaurants out there too.
We have great Italian in town.
You had Miko Kaufman out there. He was amazing. He was a sculptor, and he did a lot of the sculptures in Lowell. A very impressive guy.
Oh, wow.
But he used to live in Tewksbury, so.
Yeah, Tewksbury. Tewksbury does have a lot. Obviously the treehouse came in. That was a big change for the little town. I know not everyone was on board, but it has been great. It's so busy in the summer. I think they've brought in a lot.
Right, so I guess to have someone to pull all these pieces together would work. I think you don't want to get into more government too much, because that's what happens. And as John complains about, you start and you end up with multiple layers of government, so.
They want to see the sunrise, so I'm getting
It
text
is
messages
lovely.
for the
Yeah,
sunrise.
it
Yeah.
is.
Does that mean, is that a red sky and dawn,
I don't know. It's a
sail
little.
it, take warning, or whatever it is? It's very pretty,
I can probably
very
zoom in.
pretty. I
wonder if we're gonna have
Isn't it-
clear skies today.
Isn't it wonderful that we actually can see the sun at this time? We've been in the dark for so long.
I know. I'm ready for the long days, ready for the warmer weather.
Oh, yeah, people are done with winter.
Yes.
And when you think about
Morning,
it,
Corey. I'll be right there. Thanks.
it's, it's what,
Thanks.
April 2nd. So if it is getting nice, it's in early. April can be,
Oh yeah, I feel like our seasons have shifted. I feel like winter goes later, but also starts later. I feel like we've had warmer
yes.
falls, which I don't hate. It's nice for football season.
Right, and I don't mind. It's quite nice not having snow until Christmas, around Christmas. You start getting snow in October. It's not fun.
No.
It goes on forever. By February, you've had enough. I think this winter it was so bloody cold.
It was so cold.
You know, I don't mind. I don't like snow to shovel, but I don't mind a good snowstorm going out and snowblowing. But it would come in the middle of the night, and then you needed an axe. You couldn't use a snowblower. It was
Oh, because it would, and then I think that one storm where it snowed and then it rained, I think every driveway, every walkway had like 3 inches of ice
yeah.
on
I
it.
never saw anything like it.
We hadn't either. We couldn't. We tried everything. You know, you can only use so much salt. You can only do. It's like I kind of was like, I think we're just
It
gonna
was
wait.
too cold. It was too cold even for the salt.
Yeah, we just go right through it and then freeze.
Yeah.
Yeah. That storm was brutal. It really. The ice took a
A
while.
lot of injuries because people slipped.
Oh,
on.
I did. I think even I feel like I had a couple relatives. They all were fine. My aunt might have sprained her wrist, but
yeah.
I'm sure everybody had that.
Oh, look. Corey Belanger is in the building.
Good morning.
Welcome, Councilor Corey Belanger. You're looking very well.
Thank you.
All,
morning.
all decked
Good
out there.
morning.
Look at you.
Lindsay?
Good morning. Nice to meet you.
Likewise.
Yeah, 2 candidates here.
Yep, it comes quick.
Yeah, doesn't it though, huh?
Early and often, every 2 years, too.
Yeah.
Gotta change that.
So you're
Too
busy?
often. Yes, very much.
You got a party coming up.
Yes, I do. Yep.
We'll talk about
Long Meadow. Yep, but we'll get into that.
it. Yeah, right in her neck of the woods.
Yes, I love Long Meadow.
Yep, it's a good spot.
So,
lot of
are you a
locals.
golfer?
Learning. My husband is a huge golfer, so I have been learning. I took some lessons. So yeah, I'm trying to get into it. It's hard. It's a tough sport.
Yeah. Bob golfs 5 days a week down at Quail Ridge, and so yes, you either learned. Well, I just go and I look at the flowers and the birds and.
Yeah, sometimes I'll just go. You ride around the golf cart. It's a nice sunny
Yeah,
day.
it's not
Kinda
a bad thing to
outside.
do. I'll tell you, it's not a bad thing to do first thing in the
No,
morning.
heck no. Be outside. I like the clubhouse myself with a few adult beverages. I'm not a golfer, though.
No, you're not a golfer.
56, I've never tried it. Never grabbed me. I don't know why.
Well, to me, I always thought it was a little odd to chase this little ball,
Yeah.
and then spend a lot of time looking for it.
Well, a lot of friends do nothing to try and get out on the golf course. I know that. It's got to be something to it.
Oh yeah, well, the fresh air and everything, Corey.
Yep.
So what else is happening? Let me start with her in Tewksbury. You need the rec department. But I can't believe you don't have a rec director. Because so much goes on there.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's probably the next step. I think
Yeah.
they could really bring in more.
Well, I think it's nice to see younger people running, getting involved. We had a selectman things, but was a CPA as well.
Yeah.
So it's David Robson. He was a delight. So I hope he comes back and gets involved because it's hard.
You guys, you don't pay them a dime, right? Selectmen in Kingsborough don't get any money, right?
Oh, of course they get $1,000, I think.
$1,000 a
stipend?
year.
Yeah,
Wow.
big time here.
That's gotta go.
And then for that you get beaten up real bad.
Lindsay, once you win a seat in Tewksbury, I will be trying to convince you to pay the select people what their value actually is.
Yeah, because it is pretty much a volunteer position at this point, though.
Because right now
Stipend
we're
is so
asking
low.
an
Wow.
awful lot of people to work for next to nothing. And the salaries were established back in the 30s. And it's not enough money because nowadays they have a cell phone. Their spouse has a cell phone. Their kids have a cell phone. Their kids have laptops. They have laptops. Everybody has a car. Expenses are a lot greater. And I just think that the municipalities have to realize we got to pay our elected officials more fairly. So I will push for that after you gain a seat, not today.
Yes,
Okay,
it's a hard thing to run on, saying,
Yeah,
I want to get paid a lot of money.
Yeah, I'd
now."
wait till you're elected, at the very least.
Yeah.
But it's
And then it can be a conversation.
Yeah.
yeah, you want to attract good candidates, too. That's what was the
That's
idea.
right.
When we bumped the city council salary from 12,000 to 25, the idea was to attract more candidates. I think it's worked. Seeing I got 3 candidates, so,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, my.
There is, including me, there'll be 4 in the field on the primary.
Wow.
Yep.
Oh, so you may end up with a prime rate.
Belvedere, oh yeah, that's already, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, dear. Well, that's not a bad thing for you.
Okay, I'm ready.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing. But, so anyway, we've got an issue with the water. I didn't realize, I guess I haven't been paying attention that they had a water issue in Tingsboro. In Tewksbury, we do in Tingsboro.
Well, when a water main breaks in Tingsboro, how do you find out about it? When you're driving down the street and it's a river? Or do you get a text?
No one texted about it, actually. No,
In Tewksbury, when there's a water main break, everybody gets a text.
really.
And it's very quickly posted as well on
Oh,
social
see,
media.
yeah, but see, they now, they have a water district, right? Just one water district? Just Tewksbury Water District?
It's town water, I think.
Yeah, but it's the water, they're water districts.
No, it's
Tingsboro,
not a separate entity. It's town water, like Lowell. Lowell doesn't have a water district. It's a city,
Really?
It's a city of Lowell water, yeah.
oh,
And Tingsboro, I think you have, like Chelmsford has water districts separated from the town.
as the, Drake does as well.
Yeah.
They have Kenwood and then they have the wonderful Drake
So they
Water
have a
District that we
Water
have.
department, I think, in Tewksbury, but I don't know. I
That's
know enough to be
interesting.
dangerous.
That's interesting. Okay, that makes a huge difference then. Because the
So
district,
so it's on the selectmen, or the select board. I guess the current term we use, select board.
It's like, yeah, I've seen it, I've heard it a bunch of different ways.
So
but yeah.
I think that it's on the select board to push for,
so you don't have elections for you don't have water commissioners then? in
No, we have
Tewksbury?
the DPW, but no, we don't have.
Okay. See, Tingsboro, and Chelmsford has a similar situation, I think.
yeah, but you see, Linda, what it does is it lets
Tingsboro's
the
a mess.
politicians do this. Oh, we have a water leak? Call him. Don't call me.
We
Call
do
him.
not.
Him.
Yeah.
Not me. And see, the town in Tewksbury, you call a selectman. It's on them.
Oh, okay. So no
Yeah.
wonder it's a big, because
Yes.
when you were talking about it, I was saying,
Yeah,
I
I
was
know, it's
thinking it was
us.
detached, and it's not. It's part of the town.
And in Lowell, you call a city councilor.
That's it.
Ah.
Yeah, so
Well-
it's on us. It's on us to come up with a plan.
Oh, my. Okay. All right. That's different.
But working with people who know about water, because
Yeah.
that's definitely not an expertise.
Well, yeah, you must have some of the tests and all that. Where do you get your water from? Do you have wells, or do you know?
You can't, I think, like, people can have wells if you
No.
have well water, but
Does the town have wells? Like, see, Tingsboro's beginning to get wells. Drake has wells, but guess where they are? In Tingsboro.
oh, interesting.
Ah, yeah, it's
And they pull from there.
yeah, on the Merrimack,
Oh, wow.
and they slap us on the side of the head for that. But anyway, we're talking about Tewksbury, so I was just curious if they get the water for. Would they get the water? Would they buy their water from Lowell, John? Corey, do you know? I have no idea where they.
We provide Drake it.
Yeah, oh, I know,
supply
in
Drake it.
Tingsboro,
Yeah, in
actually,
Tingsboro,
through Drake.
yeah.
In Chelmsford, I think you
Yep,
do Chelmsford.
Yep. Turn them-
I just never thought about where Tewksbury got their water. Do they have wells?
Do not know. I turn on the faucet, it
Well,
comes out.
Yeah,
and
like
I'm
I said,
yeah.
I guess I
Well,
don't know.
that's an interesting, well, because wells are interesting.
You can't know everything, and I don't know what Tewksbury
Well,
gets its
that's a
water.
whole thing that I didn't know about ours, about their water department. But I also didn't think of it, I assumed they had districts like we did, so. You're lucky you don't.
Yeah, yeah, no, I mean,
So it's just like, the water department is just like the fire department or something, they're all under you and this. Now, how much power does,
Tewksbury gets their water from the Merrimack. The treatment plant is located right after the Troll Golf Course. on
Okay.
River
yes, I knew
Road.
where the treatment plant was. I didn't think about.
okay,
it's
so you
Merrimack.
get it from the river, all right, okay.
Thank you, Eric.
So, yeah, so you're after the filtration plant.
Eric knows water. I know that.
Ah,
He'll get
yes,
you.
thank you, Eric. I should have known,
Eric gets you.
yeah. Well, it's nice to know Eric is paying attention and watching us. That's always good. So that, okay, that's an interesting thing to learn about Tewksbury. So, anyway, what else is going on there that made you decide to run at this particular time?
Yeah, so we covered water, we covered the rec department. I think another big thing I have on here is fiscal responsibility. our budget forecasting at the moment is showing that, we're gonna have some lean years coming up. With that, we really need to have strategic planning. We need to have strategic budgeting. We need to figure out, we still need to be able to get things done in town. We just need to make sure we're setting ourselves up for economic success in the future. I think this is somewhere where my CPA background, my accounting background, will really be a big help to the town. So I was hoping, that's somewhere where I think I could really step in and make a big difference.
Now, when you got your money after the COVID money, did you hire people or did you use it for capital items? Do you know?
I'm not sure what the town, I was not living in town at that time.
Okay.
I was still down in the city.
Because Lowell went out and bought fire engine. I thought
Yep,
they did.
fire
They
engine.
used
What
them.
about-
I
That was
thought
one
you
of the
guys
big
did a good
expenditures,
job.
yeah.
I
Yep.
don't, for the most part. And unfortunately, some of the towns, we didn't do it, fortunately, but a lot of communities use that money to hire positions, and now they're sort of in dire straits, because how do you know?
Yeah, we created some new
Maybe.
positions too, so we'll have some
Did you?
tough decisions for the budget season coming
Yeah,
up, which is
well,
pretty much here.
Cutting people is always tough.
It's going to be, yep.
But it's interesting. I remember when 2.5 came in. I was a teacher at the time, and I was one of the ones that got cut. So, a question for Councilor Belanger. What is the next step for the city from the trip to? Oh, interesting, to Toronto.
Yes.
Tell me about it.
Well, we have been awarded a front-runner city, the first front-runner city in the United States. So, yes, that stems from a trip that actually Mayor Rourke took in early September. Then we went back in the middle of November for a tour of Toronto, and what they did in a approximate 15-acre parcel, all the developments with United Nation, UN Habitat is the organization within the United Nations. And so luckily we were able to convince them. We had 7 councilors going to Toronto, and we're able to convince them to make an investment here in Lowell, rather large investment. So that being said, from what I understand, the mayor and the city manager are in negotiations for them to come down here now. They're going to come down here and identify parcels. We're going to do a tour of the city and select areas where investments are going to be made. But it's pretty much official. They should be coming here, I'm told, somewhere around late April. So looking forward to that.
Oh, well, it'd be nice if they came back during the folk festival.
That'd be nice too, to see the city booming.
See what
at
it
its
does,
best, yeah.
what it can do.
And maybe we'll get them on here on City Life, who knows?
Wouldn't that be exciting? I'd love to have
Yeah,
that.
exciting time, so looking forward to getting them here. for sure.
That is it is a big item. I'm very, well, you came on right after you'd gone up for the first time.
Right.
And you were very excited about the potential. And actually, when they did the historical park, it was a real shot in the arm for Lowell, and it did a lot. And that just sort of has kind of lost its gloss, so to speak. And now it would be nice to see that, and I'm sure that's part of why they want to use Lowell, because of the historical park. But downtown needs a lot of help.
It does, it really does. It's unfortunate. But, we're hoping a lot of this development is in and around the downtown, the commuter rail, the Hamilton Canal, and through the downtown, which is sort of all connected. And that's where we need it the most. But we'll see. Well, we're all going to sit at the table and make those decisions, but, it's their money, and they're going to probably decide where the best fit is.
Well, yeah, and they're coming down. Now, one of the things that they're going to be doing is very low interest loans. That's
Yes.
going to help
Yeah.
the whole, and that you'd absolutely need that to do anything with downtown.
Yes,
'Cause those
we-
buildings they can be restored, but it's going to be very expensive.
That's interest rate's huge right now. That's why Boston, you don't even see many cranes in these days, because the construction costs post-COVID enormous, and interest rates are only compounding those efforts. So, we just approved the Lapoli project last Tuesday at the Hamilton Canal, which I'm very excited. It's 2 buildings totaling 270 units, market rate. So, very excited. That's been a long, many months in discussions. But part of the, why we had to offer such a tie and TIF, a tax break for both the commercial aspect of it and the residential is because, they're up against it with construction costs and interest rates. As I said on the council floor last Tuesday, and this would stand for Tewksbury too, you can build, a 20-story tower in Boston and in Lowell, and construction costs are the same. However, the rents in Lowell are going to be $2,500 a month for a one-bedroom, using that as the example, which is still a tidy sum of money, don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, right? But in Cambridge and Boston, that's $4,000. So that's where we're lacking. That's why we have to get aggressive and offer tax breaks to jumpstart development. There's literally no choice,
We're not going to build 40 stories. How many stories are we going to build?
This is 6.
Now, will the outside look like the mills, or will the outside look like the courthouse?
No, it's going to probably be more like the courthouse. We won't see replicating the mills, no.
Understood.
Yep.
Well, that kind of
We'd
makes
like
sense.
to see a tower. Original plan was a glass and sealed tower, 13-story, but COVID hit, changed the game,
What kind of businesses do you think are going to?
Well, the need for commercial space post-COVID is shot. It's diminished greatly. Now, Lindsay, you know a little bit about the city. My state agency was on Washington Street in Boston. We just relocated to Ashburton, an already state building, right? That's already pegged for housing. I've talked to developers in Boston to confirm, the claims that the Lapoli industry was making. Look, he's a very well-known developer, very talented, but trust but verify, right? You got to do your research as an elected official. So talking to Boston officials, they said, yes, that's one thing we're constantly working on. Commercial space is moving out, we're converting into residential all throughout the city. So the demand has really, really diminished there. And then, where do you think Lowell stands if the demand has gone in Boston? So we're going to have retail first floor, commercial first floor, and then the second floor, maybe some commercial or some kind of function hall or something of the like, but you're going to see mainly residential there.
Yeah.
That's basically where we're at. The times we can sit and wait, but we've been waiting. I'm tired of waiting down there.
Oh, yeah, that
So,
jam plan
enough's
goes
enough.
back, yeah.
Yes, enough's enough.
Well, you had a business during at the
Yeah.
beginning of that.
I bought Major's Pub on Jackson Street in 1999, waiting for all this. And last I checked, it's 2025.
Yeah.
Long time.
Yeah, it's the process subdividing the lots and, the bridges, we needed bridges. There was a lot to be done, don't get me wrong. But we're going, that courthouse sparked everything down there. It's a good state investment, so we got to keep it going and take what we, to a point, take what we can get,
Well, I would think it would be a place for businesses with the courthouse. People have to go out and buy things. I mean,
Business has
Eat-
changed greatly.
Yes.
People shop on their keyboard. And you can, if you need 6-inch pink shoelaces, they'll be on your doorstep tomorrow. You can walk around Target all day to try to find them, but I don't think you're going to find them. Internet shopping is just so much simpler, and it's on your doorstep tomorrow. Tough to compete with. Got this comment from the audience directed towards Corey, but I think Lindsay should participate with this too. Downtown should get a few more homeless centers. I think he's trying to be funny. The one on Middlesex.
Yeah, there's some sarcasm there,
Street is-
right, yeah.
is
What do you
booming.
want us to do, right?
The fact
Yeah.
is, the federal government is subsidizing the homeless. The federal government gives everyone an EBT card, electronic benefits card. It's a glorified credit card. They don't have to live anywhere. That credit card's gonna get re-greened, refilled with money every month until somebody reports that they're dead. There are EBT cards out there that get refunded every month that have been lost. They get refilled anyway, because we gotta let them eat. And there are EBT cards out there for dead people that still get used. And it's a federal government issue that we have to stop subsidizing this lifestyle. That's my takeaway. What
No.
are your thoughts?
No, look, there's an old slogan, control what you can control. I don't disagree with some of that, but alls we can do is work locally. So that being said, we've got one of the toughest homeless ordinances, encampment ordinances in the state now, next to Brockton. We've had it, honest to God. And, we want to help the homeless. We actually put extra ARPA money into resources. But when you do things like, when you see South Common right across the street here, McD, in its prime, not so much now, 50 to 75 homeless, all surrounded all around the place, right? And you pull up with a bus and say, jump in, we're gonna go to the clinic, take you for the dentist cleanings, we're gonna take you to the clinic. Guess what? Nobody gets on the bus. You tell them, you can't stay here, we got a bed for you here, I don't wanna go. So, you know, the narrative has changed in the last, I've been dealing with this issue for some time. The narrative has changed where, you know, they're down on their luck, and some of them really, I'm sure victims are unfortunate circumstances, but I'm finding in time that many of this population doesn't want the help, and that doesn't sit well with me. If you want to come here via train, however you get here, if you need help, sure, we're going to help, we're going to guide you to resources the best we can, but if you don't want help, you know, we're going to roll at the unwelcome mat. It's not, you maybe, you know, move on to some other city. It's that simple. So,
Well, the ACLU is your worst enemy because they won't
Yep.
let you, I mean,
yep,
we're better to the animals than we are to the mentally ill.
I
No,
still
I-
say the biggest problem is the federal government supports this. They subsidize the homeless. Lindsay, what are your thoughts on the homeless? There are some homeless living in Tewksbury.
yeah, it's trickling into suburbs, right? Yeah,
Yeah, I
up
mean,
on 30,
I know
yeah.
Walmart. I do know
Yeah.
Walmart has a pretty big encampment behind it.
Yeah.
I will say, you know, outside of, you know, Walmart, I know obviously Motel 6 always has been a little bit of an issue as well. Outside of that, you know, I think Tewksbury has been lucky to not deal with it, you know, definitely not to the extent that Lowell has.
No.
You know, it's not a topic I think I have a ton of knowledge to speak directly on, so be careful of what I say. But yeah, I mean, I know it's a problem. I was listening to your show the other day when you guys were, you know, talking on it a little bit, and I wasn't aware. I didn't realize how, you know, I don't spend a ton of time in Lowell. I didn't realize how bad it had gotten. So now, you know, now that I know, it's definitely something I think I'd like to look into, just, you know, for my own knowledge, just living in the area. I think it's important to know the communities surrounding us and how you guys are being affected.
Well, Tewksbury is going to get affected because it always comes up that we should go to Tewksbury Hospital and utilize Tewksbury Hospital. And I'm sure that Tewksbury Hospital has been a controversial issue in Tewksbury for many, many years.
Yeah, it has, and it's something I need to learn. So I have a couple different takes on Tewksbury Hospital. I guess at first I have to say it holds a special place for me because my mother was a nurse there, my grandmother was a nurse there, and my other grandmother was an occupational therapist there. So I have strong family ties. With that being said, you know, that was a long time ago. Things have changed. There's a security issue, which I know is being worked on with the Tewksbury Police Department. You know, there's just been like an uptick in, you know, people getting out, and, you know, I think the messaging, from my understanding at this moment, the messaging is the issue where, you know, I forget the number. There's so many programs at that hospital, you know, and I think people don't realize, I think a lot of people from what I've heard in town don't even know what goes on there. I think people are aware of that we hold, you know, obviously there can be inmates there, people, you know, with that type. But there's also a lot of great programs that happen there.
AA is there,
Yeah,
everybody else.
substance abuse.
Substance
yeah.
abuse, yeah, there's so much, and
yeah.
I think there's like 100, it's a crazy amount. And they're all doing good things, and it's too bad that it's, you know, the bad things come out. I think what needs to happen is there needs to be more open communication with the residents about what is going on there, as well as, you know, the security issue is a problem. The hospital is right next to, you know, the Wynn School, which I think has raised, you know, concerns with people. And unfortunately, this has been an ongoing issue. You know, I was in high school back in 2012, and even then, you know, we had pretty frequent lockdowns from people escaping. You know, and that was 13 years ago. So, and there's still that issue today, but I think it's the messaging where it's not always people escaping. Sometimes it is people leaving those programs, the substance abuse programs, where they're allowed to leave, but it's marked as, like escaped or left property, but like they're allowed to leave. So I need to learn more about it. I'm hoping to, you know, kind of start talking to more people and figuring out what's going on there. But I think the hospital is a good thing. I think it just, you know, what's come out from it is the problem. And I think if residents had more information about what actually was going on there, I think people would feel more comfortable with it.
Well, whenever it's brought up,
Comments from the audience.
ah,
So when you fill the city with social services, what does everyone think was going to happen?
There it is.
That's
We
what
need to
happens,
thank
yeah.
Mr. Hoey for shining a light on all the trash. We should be sending the cleaning bill to the ACLU.
Yeah.
The homeless problem is not going away. How much did the city pay to clean up the end of Fletcher near the Duncans? I think there's one more. No, that's it.
Yeah, some of that,
Back to you guys.
yeah, that's been cleaned up. That's again, another sweep we did with city officials go, with resources, mental health clinicians, substance abuse clinicians, where you want to go, but you can't stay here, So we give them ample time and come back, and then we do a sweep and then clean it up. But, they move on to other areas, so it's a transient population, but we're going to keep moving them. It's that simple.
But Corey, we've been talking about this for years, and we know that I'll go all the way back to Mike Dukakis when he shut down the mental
Yep.
hospitals, and I understand,
Including Tewksbury State.
yeah, it was the facilities were in dire conditions,
Yes, and
And-
treatment wasn't the best, I get it, but.
but you don't take them and put them on the street.
I know, that wasn't the right.
That's what they didn't.
Yeah.
Could we possibly think of what we're going to do next before we do things like that? And so now they're on the street, and the ACLU says, "Oh no, they have rights."
Yeah.
Well, the poor things, we treat animals better,
Yep. They can't-
and they need help. And because the ACLU says it's their choice, we need to deal with that. We need to come up with some kind of legislation I think, to protect them.
Linda, we can't continue to give them public aid with
No,
with no obligation on their part.
No,
Well, first
absolutely.
of all, they can't. People abuse them. People take their cards.
It's a Laurie Trahan issue. You got to bring her into the selectmen's meeting, bring her into the city council meeting, and say, "WTF? Why are these people just get benefits?" And it's all over the country.
Yes.
And let's not forget the court system. I mean,
I know.
they're in
The
this
judges
thing, the
and
fingerprints are on this mess too.
oh, it is. Well, it's embarrassing when you're seeing Massachusetts all over the national news.
Yeah.
Because we're letting out the child rapists. What is that? I mean, I don't understand the thinking there. I just don't get it. Why would they do a thing like that? It's just so appalling to me that they're letting out people that are putting everybody else at risk,
Yep.
particularly your children. When you have, where are we right now that they just release them? It's not acceptable
No,
behavior.
I would agree.
So-
Well,
Here.
also housing them at $200,000 or $300,000 each per year has got to stop. When I listened to a program over the weekend, and in Massachusetts we pay between $200,000 and $300,000 per prisoner. Mm-hmm. Where the hell is all that money going? 200 grand to keep me in jail? There's a lot of
Yeah.
administration there.
Something wrong. Something.
A wicked lot of administration there.
But God forbid you go and cut it, and then everybody gets all upset.
Well, I see Doge doing some pretty interesting stuff. I saw a tour in a Washington department of 2 buildings completely empty for years that the government rents.
Okay, then
They all work from home.
how do you justify that, though? How are they justified? See, I don't understand politicians. Well, I do understand it.
Well,
We all
the
understand
media
it.
spotlight helps, but the media gets pushback.
Yeah.
The media's afraid of the government because the government holds their license.
Oh, it is a vicious circle, isn't it?
Well,
We're going to go off to break land. We'll be back. Thanks.
picture there. Welcome to City Life. I'm Linda Bown. I am your host. I have Councilor Corey Belanger, who joined us. I have
Good morning.
Lindsey Dunlevy Tosto.
Yes.
You
I
get
like
that
having
right?
a mouthful.
Yes, and she's running for selectman in Tewksbury. And I'm sure one of your family members must have worked with Bown at Tewksbury Hospital. He used to go there and he'd do the all-nighters. He'd be the doc on call, and he used to always tell me he had to wear his badge because he was afraid they'd lock him up, which was quite possible, actually, if you knew him. So Corey in Lowell, what is the parking situation over on Hamilton with the new building? Are they providing parking?
The parking infrastructure's there. That's not
Okay.
an issue. We got a city garage there.
Okay.
And a privately owned that Lapoli company's built prior to the buildings, So we got a city garage there, which is hemorrhaging money, losing money month after month.
Okay.
Yeah, which is draining the enterprise. Parking enterprise fund is separate, a separate account. And that garage is what we call the loss leader. That thing is draining the fund because it's losing so much money. That's another reason why I urged my colleagues to support that Lapoli project to get some activity down there.
That makes sense.
And there's another garage right there, privately owned. That's not, I'd like it to do well, but that's not as much my concern as the city-owned one, obviously. But that's just another thing that, we need to get activity down there. We need the tax base. We talked, your good friend, my good friend, Councilor Mercia, last night, along with Mayor Rourke, made a motion to change the parameters of tax discounts for seniors, which we all supported.
Really?
Yep. Rita, fierce advocate for our seniors.
Oh, yes.
You know that, right?
Thank you, Rita.
What's taxes for Lowell, and this goes for Tewksbury as well, is the tax rate's going up year after year, right? 3 to 5% on average. But on top of that is the assessed values, because real estate values are soaring.
Yeah.
So that's compounding the increases year after year. So I hear a lot in the seniors, believe me, I grew up in Belvedere as well, and there's a lot of families been in the houses 30, 40, 50 years. And, they're retired on a fixed income and their taxes are soaring. So they do need relief. So let's give it to them, but let's focus on new growth, like the Hamilton Canal and the transit area here, right here at the train station. Let's create new growth to offset what we're going to discount the seniors. So that sounds like a fair deal to me.
Well, I when you talk about the what was proposed originally in the jam plan, it's just sitting there. It's not producing any revenue for anybody. So I think you're
Yeah.
wise to move on with it. Do something with
We
it.
got to do something, right? We got to do something.
So,
And this is two buildings, market rate. If we're going to create businesses, retail first floor, we need people with disposable income to support them, right? So these are all market rate. And I will add, in cities, outside of Boston now I'm talking, it's harder to get to do, let's just say you're doing a 60-unit mixed income. That's easier to get financing for a market rate.
Absolutely.
You wouldn't think, yeah, it really
No,
is, yeah.
no, because the feds, why?
Yeah, the feds kick in, and the banks say, well, okay, where, oh, you're in Lowell, oh, okay, you're gonna have to get $3-4 grand a unit. Well, the market just says about 2,500. So
They don't have to
that's
make the
where our
same
tax breaks
rates,
have to
right?
come in. That's where we have to as a city, but right now, there's nothing there, right? And that
Yeah.
doesn't sit well with me. So,
No.
and it's been going on a long time.
Yeah.
So-
Well,
We gotta move forward.
yeah. What's the time frame?
It'll break ground in 12 to 18 months.
Oh, that's good.
And
Finally.
where is this?
Right next to the courthouse, the new
Oh,
judicial
yep,
center.
yep,
Yep,
okay.
right in the shadows of it, yep. You'll see the first building is 100 units, we'll start with that, and then the next one will be 170. And there's, for the second phase, the 170 units, now that could change, that could technically go up a few stories, providing the right economic conditions
Yeah,
now.
things
Interest
do
rates
change.
go down, okay. One thing, the Front Runner City Initiative, we got low interest money to loan, that now we could be talking a tower, so it's not completely out of the realm, fingers crossed. Let's do the first building first, let's get going.
Yes.
But then the second building, 170 units, could actually go up in size and units, and So again, we need some things to go right for us in the economic climate. Let's hope it does.
Yeah, I hope on the commercial you get a couple of restaurants in there, because that, to me, they're accessible. They come off the connector and
Yep.
be able to get there very easily.
Well, that along with the MBT, are you compliant with the MBTA communities, Lindsay? You know what the...
No, we'll be voting on it at our next town meeting.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
What's your stance on that, may I ask?
Yeah, so it's tough. I'm against it. I don't like the
Okay.
law personally. I think
Yeah.
it was a one size, I think, everyone has the same sentiment, or a lot of people. It was a one size fits all. It didn't really make sense for
lot.
every town that they're
Right,
putting in.
no, I get it, yeah.
Specifically the MBTA adjacent, which is what we are, because we don't actually have one, but we're next to Wilmington.
Right.
So it's tough because, I am against it. At the end of the day, I believe the town probably is going to vote no. We did vote no heavily last time.
Yeah.
Circumstances have changed.
Yep.
At the time, the Milton lawsuit was still going on. There was still a lot of unknowns as to, how people are going to fight it, what avenues we could take. So there's been a lot of changes. It's going back to town meeting. We'll see what happens. I think while I'm against it, all I can say is I just wanted residents to be aware of the consequences of not complying.
Yes. Right, that's-
How much money is it going to take to fight it? That's one part of it. What is the dollar amount for us to fight the state against this? And then
Yeah.
on top of that, what are we going to lose?
Gonna
What could
lose.
we lose?
That's right.
So
Yeah.
it's just, we got to, at the end of the day, I think, you have to weigh pros and cons of it all. But I do think at the end of the day, I have a feeling the residents are probably still going to
No,
say no.
I think you're taking a very good business approach, because this is business decision more than government. And when you're talking buildings and structure, there's economics involved. You got to throw politics out the window. That's when your business sense come in, and you got to make it work, what works for your community and the developer. Developers have to make money too.
Yeah.
I'm in the best interest of the taxpayers, don't get me wrong, but it has to work for developers too. So that's a good approach there, I think you're taking. But, Lowell, we're a city, we do largely depend on state block grants,
Yes.
so
Yes.
we're gonna comply, don't
Well,
get me
yeah.
wrong. And, there's big potential right here, around the LRTA owns a few lots right on the train station, from here to across the street, across the street where the Durkin Carpet is, and.
Why can't they do something, though,
this-
to make the terminal more accessible? I thought originally in the plans that was going to happen, so that people can get from the terminal. You can't have them running across the street there.
They do.
I know
Well-
I know you do, but my goodness, I've almost hit a few of them and taken them out early in the morning. You need to have, if,
No, I got you. The commuter rail's not going anywhere. It's staying there,
right, but no.
Maybe we can enhance pedestrian, yeah.
Yeah,
We're gonna work
because
on
the
that too,
people,
yeah.
if you want the people to buy those apartments so that they can get
Yeah.
into Boston and work or whatever,
Yeah.
they have to be able to get there without going a gauntlet of vehicles and sidewalks that probably aren't plowed at the moment and things
Yep.
like that.
No, that will all be included in the development down there.
Yeah.
So we're rezoning, identifying buildable parcels. Matter of fact, I made a motion, I gotta follow up on that. And let's get it out there in the public. What's available to build, let's get it out there for what we own, we control, work with our partners there. But you're gonna see a lot of development here, McD, if it's up to Councilor Belanger, so, looking
Great.
forward.
You in
Looking forward to the
Tewksbury,
tax base
I think
increase.
it's great.
It is great.
Good
Kingsborough,
idea. More jobs, more room, that's good.
That's right, and
I
it's
just
all
want-
walkable, you're not encroaching on our single-family
Yeah.
neighborhoods, like my precious district of Belvedere is all predominantly single-family. You're not hurting that at all, you're not encroaching on this, you're
That-
creating new neighborhoods right
Oh,
near
the only thing I
you
want
know.
is parking. We see Bob Kraft down in Boston. He said, I want to build this stadium, I want to do this, I want to do that. He's got no parking. That's the big complaint about this beautiful new venue that Bob Kraft wants to build down in Boston. He doesn't have parking. And he's trying to push it through. I'll build it, I'll
Yeah.
build it, I'll build it. If there's no place to park,
That's a big issue.
It's
New Englanders don't
huge,
like it.
right, yeah.
And in Lowell, we have a bad habit of building facilities that don't have parking. That's got to stop.
Well, you do know the MBTA rule has
That's-
zero parking.
I know that that's the
Requirements.
rule you.
I know,
did.
that's outrageous.
I'm okay with it, footsteps from the train station, yeah,
Yeah.
but when you're talking here,
Well, that's why
it's a mile, in other words, the train station is grounds, it's a mile circumference around, which is kind of A mile with no parking, that's kind of a great distance, you know. So we probably should have taken a better look at
Yeah.
it. I think we're going to take another look at the zoning.
It's moving at the speed of government, changing
I
this
know
rule.
that. Believe me,
And
McD, it's
Golden
frustrating.
and his buddies are pushing all these projects through to get permission. You guys, you should make a motion, hold up on any permits until we make a decision on the parking. Because right now, they're ramming things right through the city of Lowell, and this building's gonna be built with no parking, well, they
Well, right now,
already have
there's one
permission.
that I'm aware of, right, the old Heinz
Heinz.
Tavern across from Enterprise right here. Which is going to, right, no, they're actually going to have, I think, 12 or 13 spots for
That's-
39 units, which is obviously inadequate. And it's a little, you know, kind of a big distance to the train station. So it's a little concerning, I would agree.
I would think it's not even good for the developer. I mean, how do you sell a unit, no parking, John? Come on, I'm not bringing my groceries
Wait,
from
this-
the,
this-
from
this-
the
in-
train
in
station.
my
Be a
mind-
rental.
In my
Be a
mind,
rental.
this all started off with McDonald's on Mammoth Road. Never should have been built. Never should have been, but the city, we need the revenue. Let them build. Now, Perry Street, right off of Rogers, right over by the car wash,
Right?
built a ton of condos over there.
That's right,
Not enough parking.
yeah.
It's so bad that they had to make Perry Street one way because you couldn't get down the street. Many days you can't, in the wintertime, the fire truck can't get down to the street because of the snowbanks. And this virus that the city has, we need more money, stop it. We have to let them build because we need the tax money.
Well,
The government doesn't
yes,
really
I'm-
care. They're gonna build this Heinz,
To a point, McD, yeah.
Heinz
I'm-
Tavern thing, I'm almost done, Corey. They're gonna
Yeah.
build this Heinz Tavern thing. And the government doesn't care. They're gonna get tax money. They couldn't care less. Back over to you, Corey. You can
No.
say whatever you like.
No, I appreciate that, but no, we need to comply with zoning in our neighborhoods for sure. That
But
Perry Street
you
project, there is
picked,
parking.
you,
There are
the city
condos-
council picked this zoning ordinance. They
Yep.
picked it.
Yeah,
So now you don't like the stew. Well, we have to eat the stew. It's the state. No, you picked it.
yep, I would agree.
It's gonna get changed.
So we're gonna take a, yep. I think
The
council-
state is strong, but in Tingsboro, what we did with that is that, and I commend Colin, is the area that we set aside for the housing that they want is up by the mall. So it's not going to affect, so when you're doing that, if you don't want to lose your state money and you don't want to lose your grants, and you put it somewhere that it's not going to affect your neighborhoods.
Yeah, yeah.
And that, so then it's doable.
Right.
But the state's not going to, they're just going to come up with mandates. I'm so disgusted with the state right now, because they just make you do things, and they're not helping the communities at all. What they've done to Lowell by putting the people, taking over, but I blame Marty Meehan for that, when he took over the conference center. He was in charge of the universities, he let that happen in Lowell. And that's a bloody shame. And now they're busing those children all over the state because they're saying, well, we don't want to disrupt them because they landed in Chelsea or something. Well, supposedly they walked all the way from South America. That must have disrupted them. I mean, the whole thing is insane. We've all gone nuts.
Yep, it's, the busing has been a problem, I would agree.
It's a big bill for you. I feel
Yep.
bad,
Now, Lindsay, to the MBTA community, have you done the arithmetic? In other words, what it would cost and what you could potentially lose in grants at all?
So I think it's hard to put a number on the discretionary funding and the grants. I would
Right,
say,
yeah.
I think we know from other towns that are fighting it, I think Milton has, they've, as of the last data, was about
Yeah.
300K that
Okay.
they've spent fighting it so far.
Okay, in legal?
Yeah,
All right, yeah,
yeah.
okay. And you don't have, we have a legal department, but you probably have to outsource it and,
Yeah, we have legal counsel, but yeah.
you have legal counsel?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
all right. Well, I would reach out to DPD and see what grants, could be in jeopardy, get $1 while you're campaigning, so you have some hard numbers to say, it's gotta come from, if we're gonna lose this, and we're gonna have to tax you to make up for this, that's how it works.
Yeah, yeah.
You want to give tax breaks, that's great, but it's got to come from somewhere. We're used to this money coming in, we got to make up for that. So,
Yeah, we have a lot of stuff we need to get down in town, and it's gonna be hard if we're gonna have to be moving money around
Yeah.
to pay for this legal battle.
yeah, better the hard numbers you have, the better you sound and look,
2 comments from the audience. Traffic in Lowell is already a nightmare. More residents mean more traffic, whether you have a parking lot or not. thank you for your comment. UMass Lowell's closed today. This is not an April Fool's joke. One of the audience sent me, the UMass Lowell will be closed on Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025. All on-campus courses, business operations, and transportation services are canceled.
Have they been hacked?
Did they say why?
Government doesn't take questions.
Wow.
GPS online classes will continue as scheduled. Well,
Oh,
that's
they're
good.
not hacked.
Essential personnel should report as directed. All other staff should check in with their manager regarding in-person or remote work arrangements. Please continue to monitor the email for updates. UMass Lowell, no explanation offered.
That doesn't make, that's not good.
Yep.
It's a good example of the government. We don't
I know.
have to tell you. Back to you guys, thanks.
Well, that's
Got
interesting.
me. Hope it's nothing serious.
Who
I'm
knows?
curious to see what's
I wonder
happening.
how they communicated that to the students and all. They must have some kind of network, I
Well,
assume.
they'll just
If
say,
McD gets the message, I'm sure the students got
when
the
you
memo.
when you
too.
walk over there and you find that the building's locked, they'll say, "Oh, we sent a message out. Didn't you get it?"
I mean, we live in a world where people check their email, pretty frequently, I guess.
Ah,
So,
yes,
or
yeah.
I'm sure, I bet texts probably went out
But
as
Lindsay,
well.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, even on a day when we have a 2-hour delay, and we're across the street from this Rogers School, and kiddos show up on time. They show up at 7:30, and school's delayed 2 hours. The parents don't pay attention to the media like they used to.
Wow. We always say it's kind of
Go
sad
figure.
nowadays because when we were kids, you had to wake up and watch the news and wait for your town to come
Oh,
across. We
yes,
didn't have.
that's absolutely right.
But nowadays, I feel like the parents typically get phone calls from school the night before, or they get so it's, the excitement a little bit in my mind has been taken out of it because
Well,
we
you-
loved watching Waiting for Our Town.
You're
Yep.
younger generation, so
Well, listen
how
to
do you
radio.
watch? Where do you get your news from? Do you watch television at home? or
So
do you just-
I'm a morning person, so I actually do watch the morning news. But I know I do like Twitter. I think they have a lot of good news things on there I can watch. But I'm a big, actually, I do like watching the news. So
So which news programs do you watch?
City Life, besides City Life?
No,
yeah, I do watch City Life. I just know the local news. Channel 5, Fox, whatever's on in the morning.
Okay, all right. So do you have Comcast? Do you have Verizon? What do you have?
We have Xfinity, yeah.
Xfinity. Okay.
That's Comcast, yeah.
Yep.
How about you, Corey? Where do you get your news from?
City manager on a local level one of these days, but no, he'll send out texts. So I'm surprised there's nothing about the ULO. If it's anything serious, I'm sure. The city manager's very good at communication to the entire council in the event of emergency, water main break, whatever it may be.
Does he
fires.
include the media in his texts?
That's a good question.
I doubt it.
I know that. I know I'm on there as well as all my colleagues.
You're
so.
definitely not in his text list, John. Come on.
No, sir.
Look at that little smirk over there. Yeah, you're definitely
Well, I
off,
mean,
you're off the memo list.
Linda,
Yeah.
the only one who can change my mind is Mr. Golden. He's the only one who can change my mind. He has his friends call me. He has his family talk to me. And the only one who can change my mind is Mr. Golden. And we'll leave it there.
Hey. How are
Glad to hear you're open.
how are the candidates lining up in your district?
0.
Oh, so you're
I
on the
need
hook.
to- I need to, Lindsay, you probably never saw this before. Where is Lowell's campaign? Talk about gerrymandering. This is a crazy, crazy map.
Oh, his
And this
district.
is Lowell's elect districts.
Huh.
Now, this is Pawtucketville, makes sense.
Yeah.
This is Centerville, makes sense, okay?
Very congested, yeah.
The the Lower Highlands, the Upper Highlands, South Lowell, and Belvedere.
Boom.
This district starts at the Lowell Connector, goes over the river,
Yeah,
all the way to the Dracut line.
right. That's odd.
That's the one that stuck out to me.
Yeah, right,
Or-
right, yeah.
Yep, this is a stupid district, and I'm looking to get somebody your age to run for city council. Because the guy we have right now, in my own personal opinion, not asking for anybody else's, if you want to chime in, go right ahead. This guy's lackluster performance, the guy we have right now. So I've stuck my neck out. I'll run if nobody runs, because this has got to stop. It's got to discontinue.
Are you announced yet, McD?
You can't pull papers. There's no
I
official
understand that, but you
candidates
can
right
still
now.
announce.
I'm not going to announce until
Okay,
you can pull papers.
all right, that's June 10th,
Yep.
and then you'll have
So
till,
I'm hoping I'm hoping, but I'm gonna have to open an account in May, because I
Yep.
guess that you have to have some special bank account you have to open, so
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll open that in May. And, my wife says, hey, you're a big boy, do what you want.
Why not?
But I don't think she's gonna be holding any signs, though.
No, I don't think so.
But crazy district we have here.
No.
Yeah, that
So
one's
Linda,
very fun.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
go with, the
Starts here,
announcements.
Okay.
All right, so let me go to the top announcement here. And go to this guy, hit this one.
Don Plummer.
Okay, so Danielle McFadden, she's having a party this week, tomorrow. Danielle McFadden, Lowell School Committee candidate at large. She having a campaign kickoff party tomorrow, 5 to 8 p.m. at Mount Pleasant Golf Club, 141 Staple Street. Hope to see you out there. Francisco Maldonado, retired police officer of Lowell. He's having a campaign kickoff party. He's running for Lowell City Council's Highlands District 8, Friday, April 4th, 2025, at 7 p.m. Mount Pleasant Golf Club, 141 Staple Street. He's got a QR code, and suggested donation is $25. So hope to see you over there this Friday. Chelmsford Dog Park, they're going to have a cleanup out in charming Chelmsford at the dog park, and it's going to be this weekend coming up April 5th. So hope to see you out there. It's 52 Richardson Road. It starts at 8 o'clock in the morning. And come dressed for cleaning up the dog park. So, and the rain date is the next day, April 6th. The City of Lowell, Tufts Medicine, they want to hear from you about your health concerns. So they want to hear from you over the internet. So take your fancy phone out of your pocket. If you zero in on this QR code with your put your phone in camera mode, zero in on that QR code. This is called the QR code. Zero in on that, it'll bring you to a website and answer those questions.
Well, that was interesting.
Spring volunteer. If you got too much time on your hands, you want to volunteer, they're going to have some volunteer organizations to talk to at St. Anne's Episcopal Church on Saturday, April 5th, 9 to noon. And a lot to like about Lowell. If you want to volunteer, pop down there and they'll have some venues or they have some opportunities for you to volunteer. Don Plummer out in delightful Draken. He's running for selectman. He's having a party Sunday, April 6th, 2025, 2 to 4 p.m. at the Tavern on the Line, 1794 Bridge Street, Unit 33A in delightful Draken. Don Plummer, good guy. He's got a QR code down here too, so you can take your smartphone and zero in on that for more information about Don Plummer. Taste of the Town out in Tewksbury at the Hilton Garden Inn. That's off Andover Street, right at 495. And they have many of the restaurants are going to showcase their best goods. $30 to get in, and I've gone to this event once or twice. It's a delicious time, so consider it. It's going to be the date someplace. Oh, there it is. Okay, the Hilton Garden Inn, Tewksbury, 4 Highwood Drive, Tewksbury, Tuesday, April 8th, 5 to 8 p.m. A delicious time. They got a QR code as well.
A lot of good restaurants.
Health there in Tewksbury. Tewksbury
See, it's
Senior
all
Center.
happening in Tewksbury.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff happens in Tewksbury. So they're going to have health fair. If you got something you want to know about different health opportunities, it's April 9th at the Tewksbury Senior Center. Now, if you've never been to the Tewksbury Senior Center, it's deceiving. They have a gigantic parking lot behind the building. So you look at, where am I going to park? Behind the place, they have a Demoulas-sized parking lot there.
Oh,
Okay.
So if you have questions, you can call Susan Timmons, and her phone number's down there. Moving right along, here's Corey's party.
Oh,
Boom.
Corey.
I gotta hit the shrink button to fit this whole thing on the screen.
Yeah, get that guy in there, huh?
Okay. So, Committee to elect Corey Belanger invites you to his Corey Belanger Lowell City Council District 3 Belvedere campaign kickoff, Thursday, April 10th, 5:30 to 8 p.m. Long Meadow Golf Club, 165 Havel Street, that's up in Belvedere. And
Sure is.
donations start at $20 and go up, and make checks payable to CTE, which stands for Committee to Elect, but CTE Corey Belanger. So I hope to see you there on April 10th, 5:30 to 8 p.m. You want to say anything about this, Corey?
Yeah, looking forward, McD. It's the official campaign kickoff. I got a lot a very good message to relay on that evening to my constituents in the district. And don't let money be an issue, please. If you come on down, we need bodies too. It's a big room. Come on down. I'd love to meet you. So I've sent a lot of complimentary invites out to constituents that I've dealt with on issues. It's not about money. It's about engaging, and so come on down. Do not hesitate.
See you on April 10th. Okay, Sexto to Jesus campaign kickoff. He's having a party he's running for city council at large. Sexto to Jesus, he's the manager of the Enterprise Bank at the end of the Connect, a good guy. And he's gonna have his party at Cato Asian Fusion, 72 Merrimack Street,
yeah.
downtown Lowell. And hope to see you there. It's gonna be Thursday, April 10th at 6 p.m. You wanna dress up your doggy.
Look at this.
Bring to the dog
cute.
park.
Yeah.
Pick pups. A pup picks the Easter Bunny. The Chancellor Dog Park, Saturday, April 12th, and you can see a cute little dog right here. So if you want to doll up your dog and bring him, be a lot of laughs, a lot of smiles. Job fair at Lowell High School. This is a pretty good idea. So job fair at Lowell High, Thursday, April 17th, 8 to 10 a.m. at Lowell High School, Father Morissette Boulevard. I guess the public's invited. Complimentary table will be provided. I don't know what that means. And so this QR code, if you're interested in going to this job fair, you can call Colleen Gabriel. There's some phone numbers down here. Or you can email her, and they have a QR code here if you're interested in finding out more about this job fair. Rita Mercier, she's having a party. Campaign party, re-elect Rita Mercier, Councilor at Large. Come join me at the Bunting Club Friday, April 18th, 6 to 8 p.m. at 449 Boylston Street. $10 donation. It's going to be a buffet. Always a tasty time.
You bet. I know Linda Bown will be on hand.
That's the last one, Lynn. Back to you.
A lot going on. You covered a lot there,
beginning
McD.
to,
Nice
yeah,
job.
heat up.
Campaign season's really kicking off for you guys.
Sure it is. Oh, man.
Can't believe ours comes to a close on Saturday.
I know.
It's crazy.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I wish that
Oh,
was the case.
Corey, on this, I'm kind of excited about this Toronto thing, and
As am I.
I think that one of the things, because Va, that I live with, is an artist, and so I've gotten familiar with the galleries downtown, and you've got the Whistle House, and you've got the gallery right on Market Street, and I would think that it would be. I found out that because I was at something at City Hall where they had a display, over 600 artists in Lowell. So I'm on their back all the time saying you really need to reach out to the council and let them aware. Let them know. I mean, donate art to the certain businesses. Let them know that this is going, because it's a big part of Lowell. I mean, you have the Worthen, that you have all kinds of history there.
You bet we do. Yeah.
And so, and the gallery's right around the corner. The galleries are right around the corner there. So to incorporate them, I think it would be a positive thing.
It's a great idea, Linda. I think some sort of festival would
Yeah.
be very appropriate, right? I'm a big special event guy. I love.
Yeah, and get
Close
them
the streets,
involved
have a
with the
block party.
festivals.
Absolutely.
Come up with
We-
some artwork for the festivals, and
Bring it to the council floor. We'll be glad to find resources for you to, we got the folk festival coming up in July. We got
always so fun.
Winterfest. Oh, it's a blast.
Yeah.
So we're looking for excuses to
Now-
close streets and
yeah.
have
Tell me
bands
about. You've talked about this before. You've done this before, but I've heard that they're interested in shutting down Middle Street again,
Yep.
certain weekends to sort of bring business back down there. I think that's a great idea.
Absolutely, it works great.
So.
Putting live bands out there, yeah. And the manager's on board too. We know. Look, I was a downtown businessman for 15 years.
Yeah.
I know the average weekend, it's a pretty tough racket, and that says for a lot of downtowns. It's
Yeah.
not just Lowell, but special events change. It can be game changers. When you bring an extra 10,000 in the folk festival, it's 150,000 in the course of 3 days.
Yeah.
But so they help the businesses, no doubt about it. Winterfest, all the businesses experience a nice boom in the middle of February, right? So, yeah. So, Linda, I'm all for it. I love special events, getting people to the city, we got to open the garages, free parking. We don't want any kind of hindrance in getting people downtown. So I'm all for it. You talk to your friends in the artist community, tell them,
Yeah.
post the council, let us know your
I
concerns.
think they need to get involved with the council and,
Comments from
Absolutely,
the
yeah.
audience, the downtown area needs to turn the page on historical bull crap and get private investments to invest in downtown area. So I would ask this guy,
Working on it.
please text me, what would it take to have you come to downtown Lowell? What would we put down there? You say, I'm going to go down there.
Something tells me you're not going to like his answer, McD.
Well, I'm going to ask him, what's
All
he
right,
want?
well, throw it out there.
What's he want? We're not going to open any strip joints, okay? It's a tiresome to hear grants. Doesn't that money come from the taxpayers?
of course.
Yes, it does, but not so much. Grants usually come from state or federal. It's still taxpayer money now, have you? But nonetheless, would you rather have it raise taxes on a local level? I think not.
That's old.
But,
That's old.
so we're great. The city of Lowell is fantastic. We got great grant writers. If there's state and federal money out there, we want it. It's
Yeah.
that simple. So to help ease the burden on the local taxpayer, that's the idea. That helps stimulate activity and growth and building. So grants, I beg to differ, are very, very important, and we're going to pursue them very aggressively in any manner.
Well, one of the issues with Lowell, of course, in Tewksbury Hospital, it always comes up that the homeless or the addiction issue utilize Tewksbury. They're not going to go there because the nonprofits aren't there. They're all in downtown Lowell. And then you don't get any taxes from them. And to me, the issue has been they don't have to show any results. They're perpetuating it. They're perpetuating the situation because they just get their funding every year and
Yeah, with no type of
no
auditing,
success.
no type of- no success. Yeah, no,
Except for the Bridge
I
Club,
know, yeah.
Bridge
Oh,
House
Bridge
rather.
Club, yeah.
They're fabulous.
Oh, Bobby Cox, yep, tremendous. He
And-
gets results, absolutely.
That he
yeah.
gets results. I don't
Yeah.
understand why, and I believe in nonprofits, but I think that they need to come up with, show us a result. Don't just keep perpetuating it.
And auditing types, I would agree. It's taxpayer money, right, and, but no, it's, perfect example is federal aid to every country in the world. We give them 200 million here, 300, just give them a check. Don't audit, in some cases you're enriching corrupt politicians, that don't trickle down to the people. Are we fools?
No.
Just so Lindsay knows, the Bridge Club helps people with addiction. You can be addicted to making TV shows. You can be addicted to drugs, alcohol, pornography, whatever you're addicted to. You can go to the Bridge Club, and they have a group that will talk to you about it.
That's great.
Yep.
And
Oh,
this
it's
guy-
open 24
Up in the
hours a
auditorium.
day, every day of the year. It's an amazing, one of John's big issues is nonprofits, they go home at 4 o'clock. The issue doesn't stop at 4 o'clock.
It's round the clock.
Addiction doesn't stop before, so,
And on a Friday, a lot of times, we'll see you Tuesday.
it's very, it's an issue. It's a catch-22 there. So something has to be done to make it more accountable.
Bob Cox at the Bridge Club
Oh,
and
it's
his
fabulous.
colleagues are saving lives.
Yes, they are.
I would agree.
And I don't understand why other nonprofits aren't made to come up to that standard. Set the bar.
Yeah, especially if you're getting state and federal money, there should
Yeah.
be government officials sitting down a year. We're going to give you $1 million. We're sitting down at 6 months a year. We're going to evaluate this whole thing.
I don't want to hear that
You
you
better
fed
show something.
300 people. I want to hear that maybe you only had to feed 200 because they were able to get a leg up and move on.
Right.
One of my elected official friends had a problem with addicted to something. They approached Bobby Cox, and Bob said, "You're a popular guy in the community. Let's find you a place out of here that will help you." So he found him a place, and he got away from his addiction, and big help, and Bobby Cox put him on the right trail. So
Oh, he's done amazing. It's a to go to the fundraisers for them is just, it's very inspirational.
It's important to have people like that in your community.
Oh.
That make a difference.
It really is. And so, I think to do that, you need to set the bar for them to know they'll get the
good
support.
question from my potential district here. How many people show up and vote in District 4? Why would someone downtown or near the connector care about what's happening in the Drake line. Very good points. And the current councilor has done nothing to change the size of his district.
Where do you guys vote now? I know they had, Centerville used to have to come over the
I walk
bridge.
across the street, but right now, the people who run the voting department they're looking to change that.
So you can't walk across the, well, they changed it.
It's
You
the
don't,
Rogers School right now.
but didn't they have to come from Centerville to Lowell High to vote?
Yeah,
It was absolutely crazy.
yeah.
What, in a
Well, when you
council
have-
election?
Yeah.
You had the Robinson School.
No, that's for Centerville, but not for
Yeah.
his, the people in
Oh.
his district that are on the Drake line had to come to Lowell High to vote.
No, I don't think there's a place on the Drake end of District 4 to vote.
They were going to let them use the greenhouse or something at some point, but I don't know if they ever did. It's a ridiculous, and what do you have in common with the people in the Drake
You
line?
have city departments that say, well, it interrupts our workflow. We can't have this. Okay, we're paying your frickin' bill, okay? So take that fire truck and park it on the street for the day and put a bunch of voting booths in there. Go in and meet the firefighters. They're great people.
Yeah, we
have
used to
fire-
always
we
do
have
it.
firehouse all over the place. So I would use the firehouses, I would use the school buildings, let them meet the principal, let them meet the administration when they go over there. I just think this business, you interrupt our workflow. That's baloney. We're
Schools
paying
are
the
closed
bills.
anyway.
We're paying the bills.
Well, I got an idea, McD. Why don't you invite Mr. Will Rosenberry, the election director, invite him in for a conversation. We've got the upcoming
we used to
election
have
season.
Greg.
Talk about precincts.
I will do
I'm sure he'd be
that.
more than willing.
I will do that. Thank you.
Because we used to have
Good
Greg
idea.
Pappas on all the time.
That's what Councilor Belanger does, comes up with solutions.
That's right. I love it. I love it. And it's not even your district.
So look, you guys got
I
like
don't have to
20
worry about
minutes
voter
left.
turnout.
Okay.
Corey, is there anything you want to put on the table we didn't talk about?
Well, yes, last night we sort of approved, not quite approved, but a
Last night was a city council meeting, just so
Yes,
you know.
yeah, for our water infrastructure, we approved a $100 million investment over 5 years, right? I know, wow, that's the first thing I started reading the report, I'm like, oh my God, 100 million. So, for instance, like, we'll get, the Rourke Bridge is approved, right? Not in my district, but nonetheless, it's still an issue. We'll get a new bridge, that's great, right? But it's not all free. It's state money mainly and maybe some federal, but it's not entirely free. The city's responsible for the utilities connecting water and sewer from one end to the other. That's not on the state. We're talking about $10, $12 million there, so we're on the hook. That's just one example. We're going to be updating a lot of fire hydrants. We're going to be improving water pressure, updating many of our cast iron pipes throughout the city in some areas. So a lot's going to get done, with our aging infrastructure over the next 5 years. But to the ratepayer, the first thing I said is, oh my God, how are we going to pay for this? It's not, the water's an enterprise fund, which is a separate account, just like the parking is, right? And we don't have, there's not 100 million sitting in the account by no stretch. So what I was very pleased at is that the increases are very manageable. Over the 5 years, it's 6%, 5%, 3%, 5% again, and then in year 5, 3%. So very manageable increases. Believe me, I'd like it to be zero. I know that's still, but we have a lot to do. So I'm very pleased with the amount of work that's getting done on our infrastructure, the amount of money we're investing, but yet the modest increases to the ratepayers of Lowell. So I'm pretty pleased with that.
Now, when you say 5%, is that 5% increase
Increase, yep.
to the taxpayer?
To the rate, in this case, ratepayer, yep.
I don't understand that. I thought, what about 2.5? I'm confused.
You're mixing property taxes with paying for water and sewer, Linda.
Oh, they're separate. Okay.
Separate, yes. yeah.
Okay.
Water,
Okay.
everybody gets a
Gotcha.
separate water bill, right?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
So
back
your
to those water districts.
No, I'm glad, maybe some of the
Yeah.
viewers are confusing that as well.
Yeah.
I'm glad you clarified. So, yes, so property taxes are separate from your water bill. That's separate, right? So on your water bill, you'll be seeing very modest increases to pay for all this.
So you get that's
infrastructure.
interesting. So you get a separate bill.
Yep,
Same in Tewksbury.
yep.
Well, I know I get a water bill, but it's from Drake, so But so you get a district, an enterprise, but it's still from the city, right?
Enterprise fund, yeah. And luckily, we have
We have
the
it,
benefit of providing water for Drake and Tingsboro and Little Chelmsford, and
Yeah.
we make money off that too.
That's
So
right.
That's
That's
a
right.
nice novelty to have, a nice luxury to have.
Except when Nick Glambo stole the money, the
Yeah.
water. What a great scam that was, turning the water, the pumps backwards. I was amazed.
Well,
that
we
he even
got
thought of that.
fiscal watchdogs on our end, Linda.
Yes, you
You're
do.
not gonna
You
see
caught
any-
it.
You're not going to see any thievery on our end.
Lindsay, now, some of the people tune in at 7, and they didn't hear your spiel about who you are. You're running for selectman in Tewksbury, so
Yes.
give them a capsule of what you're running on, the issues.
Yes, no, I love this. I love hearing about Lowell and the different issues. Yeah, so Lindsey Dunlevy Tosto, I'm running for Selectboard in Tewksbury. The election is this Saturday. Make sure you get out and vote.
Wow.
I'm a third-generation Tewksbury resident on both sides. My father and my mother's family is both from there. I lived in town and then moved out, went to college, moved to the city, but I'm back. I've been back for a couple of years. Me and my husband were able to buy a house, which is great. We love being back in town. I love Tewksbury. I chose to run because I think there's some changes that need to be made. And, I think there's a big issue. My generation isn't super involved in town politics, and I think it's important we start getting involved, and this is my way of doing it. I want to make changes, and I think the best way to make a change is to get involved. My background, I'm a CPA. My family's been in town politics. My grandmother, Joan Dunlevy, was the first woman chair on the select board in town. We have a lot of history. I have a multi-generational point of view of town, of things that have changed, things that have happened, and I think that's a really important insight to have. I want to bring a fresh pair of eyes, a fresh perspective to the board. I think the board has done a lot of great things. I just think sometimes, to make a change, it's nice to have an outsider's point of view, and that's what I hope to bring.
That is good. That's good. I like it.
Yeah, I'm excited. Like I said, I love Tewksbury. It has so many great things. Residents are great. The neighborhood I moved into is a bunch of people I never knew, and I got to meet them, and I think it's been fun, honestly. This is my first political campaign. I haven't previously been involved in anything like this, and it's really been a great experience. I've met so many people, residents, and just, even you guys, and, just a bunch of people I don't think I would have ever crossed paths with if I didn't do this.
You'll make great friends.
Absolutely.
You'll make
Yeah,
some great friends
It's been a
campaigning.
phenomenal experience. And one thing I think I do want to emphasize is, this is my first time running, and I'm putting everything I have into it, and I obviously would love the result that I'm hoping for. If for whatever reason it doesn't go my way, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be here for a long time.
That's
We're young. I'm just starting out back in town. I'm going to be around. If this doesn't work out, I will be back, but I will also be sticking around. I'll be looking at other committees to join and other ways to get involved in town. So Tewksbury will be seeing me for quite some time.
Well, that's good. You have a lot to work with in Oz.
Yes, and I'm going to
It's
start
a great
calling it
time.
Oz, I think. I think I like that.
It is. I think
Yeah.
it's an. I kid about it, but I always say with Colin Loisel, the Tewksbury better watch out because we may be replacing you. We're doing some pretty good things in Tingsboro. So, and in Lowell, Corey.
Yep, very good.
We have
And,
some great surrounding
you-
communities.
yeah, and best
between
of
all
luck,
us.
Lindsay. Now, is this a district or the whole town, or and how many candidates do you have?
It's the town, so there's 5
Okay.
select board, there's 2 seats open. We
Oh,
currently
okay.
only have 4 members. The 5th one had to step down because she became town manager of another town.
Oh, yep.
She was moving out, so that was just a couple months ago.
Yep.
There's 2 seats open, and there's 4 of us running.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, so let's
Very
hope
good. Yep.
Saturday, hopefully a good turnout Saturday. The weather is,
Saturday, election on
Saturday,
Saturday.
it's good
huh?
voting, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. All right.
yeah, it's 8, the polls are open.
I'll be
8 to
watching, see
8.
what the percentage of voters come out, see how it is to it. We typically have it on Tuesdays, so it's going to be interesting. I'll keep an eye on that percentage that
Yeah,
turns out.
I'd be curious to see how it compares to a
Yeah.
weekday versus a weekend.
Right.
Lindsay, do we have early voting in Tewksbury?
We do, but I think it's already, what is today? We're already in April. It's passed, so.
Okay. So there was early voting?
Yeah, there was. You could mail in ballot.
Good. I got some comments from the audience. All government is so large that they have lost accountability for funds.
Yeah,
Interesting point.
that's true.
Put the voting in
I
the
would beg
fire
to
stations and the police stations, and the public will see the shape they are in and possibly get some funding for new facilities.
Good
No,
point.
very good. We take our public safety officials very seriously, and we're going to be making investments in the firehouses this year with capital.
Well, I'm
you know.
impressed with what you've
Well,
done with the fire
I
department.
think
Yeah.
they should sell the firehouses and build new ones. They're too small. Okay?
Yeah.
That's a point. Good point, John.
And, because you go, I'm in Boston yesterday, brand spanking new police stations. Brand spanking new, high-rise police stations. Why don't we have that?
I know, we need a police station
What is?
desperately.
Lower
Yeah.
Trahan doing? Okay, the surrounding
That's
towns
to you,
should,
Lindsay.
the surrounding towns should be paying more
All right.
money for all the baloney we put up with. That's from Bart.
No, he's not wrong in that sense, but
Like Mr. McDonough
Good luck
always
to us.
says, the government won't, and it's true, the government won't find the money, unfortunately, it's in your pocket. So, back to you guys. Time is running out there, kids, you
Yeah.
got like
Do
15
you have
minutes.
town meetings in Tewksbury?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
do.
Yeah, we're doing things.
They don't have, I will say, they don't have the greatest turnout, but
No, it's a problem.
yeah, it is.
They're
It's
televised
Yeah.
though, right?
yes, they are.
Yeah.
They are.
Okay.
You can catch them.
Which has helped. It's helped people get involved, but
Yeah, at least
If you
people can
want
listen to
people
them.
to go to a meeting, feed them.
That's actually a good idea.
You
to have
just tell
some
them, look,
snacks.
we're gonna have a bunch of pizza there, and if you don't like pizza, tough. And we're gonna have some water to drink. You want soda? Tough. We'll have water and pizza. Come on down. And so you spend $1,000 on pizza, or you have all the pizza joints in town deliver 10 pizzas each, and let them say, this is from Lindsay's Pizza, this is from Corey's Pizza. Let them promote their stuff, and you'll get a lot more people to go to meetings.
Yeah, I
If this
think
boom-
somebody said to me, which I also thought was maybe a good idea, is people, which is not great, but people said they forget, like they just forget that town meeting's happening or the day. We do reverse. I don't know if Lowell has that as well. We do reverse like calls to residents for various things. Somebody was like, could we do a reverse phone call the day of the meeting to remind
Yeah.
people that it's happening? And I
Well,
said, yeah, it's definitely something to look into.
I think that with the Tewksbury being so good with the notification of water, I get a text. I don't get a voicemail. I get a text. I think it's great. I think that the town should consider text.
Yeah, maybe that. Yeah, that's a great way because people don't always answer the phone. I guess you could leave the message, but
It's a lot easier to look at it. You get a phone. What's this? Oh,
Yeah.
You got to look. Hello, we're kind.
oh yeah, they
people."
hang up before the message
Yeah.
even finishes. Yeah, no, I think a text would be just some way to remind residents it's happening tonight. We want you to be there. We want everyone to make a difference in town. It's insane how many people we have in the town versus how many go to town meetings, show up to vote.
no.
Tell
right.
you,
But there's
though-
viewers at home, that's an untapped number, you don't know how many. But,
Yeah.
a lot of my constituents watch, not every Tuesday, there's things in life, but I think a good amount tune in.
Yeah,
So
the televised
idea
is
to get
great.
that word, yeah. The idea is
gotta
to get
get
that
more
word out.
civility in the meetings and the politics. People are afraid to go because if they say they vote, let's talk about the housing with the MBTA, and they vote against something, they hate you forever. It's
gotten
got to stop.
That
Yeah.
is one part of I also hope to change. And, it's something I will do personally. I cannot, everyone's going to act the way that they act. Professionalism needs to come back into the boards, into these
Yeah.
meetings.
Civility.
It's a big thing.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, it's become, the polarization of the two sides is, it's gotten a little out of hand.
It's ridiculous.
We're
It's-
all professionals. We're not going to agree with each other on everything. I think that's, it's great that we can all have our own opinions, but we got to work together.
That's right. You can disagree on one thing, you move on to the next. Maybe you can all agree on the next thing. It's that
Because your
simple.
neighbors aren't going to go away, they're going to still be there, so why do you have to have all this anger and
And
hostility?
local politics should be apolitical.
Oh, it
where-
is.
Yeah,
It's-
nonpartisan.
It
That's
the
really
good thing about
is.
local.
Yeah.
Or about DNR, could care less.
I just feel
Just wanna get
it's
results.
so unfortunate because like you, I grew up in a town, I went to town meetings all my life, and you'd fight tooth and nail at the meeting, but then you'd go and have a beer with each other, it wasn't, you didn't, the anger, I don't know where it's coming from, but it's got to just, you're right.
Yeah, it does. And
Somebody, and I think someone like you that's younger that can initiate that.
yeah, I would like I said, I'm a CPA. Professionalism is part of my job, and I would like to bring that, to the meetings and to the people I work with. Like I said, we're not going to see eye to eye on everything, which is
No,
great.
of course not. You don't want,
Yeah.
if you're seeing eye to eye all the time, someone isn't thinking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Different perspectives. That's what
Yeah.
I think what makes a good board
Yeah.
is having different perspectives. You're supposed to have that.
Yeah.
Right,
Because everyone
yeah.
will see different sides of every resident and what they think, but at the end of the day, we got to come together and do what's best for the residents, in a polite, professional, civil manner.
Well, Lowell has certainly seen that it got divided over issues, and it's gotten away from it. I was against in Lowell the change in the districting, and now I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, it's worked out great.
I think that,
Yep. I like it, the only way I knew was the at-large system, right? And then I come on and get appointed on a local level, and I love it tremendously. It's easy. You can get a good sound handle on your district, and you build better relationships. You can go out the door. I mean, it's a little hard in the winter months, but when I get emails from constituents, okay, I'm done. I'll log off at 3:34. I'll be over today. You're right out the door. You can get more done and focus on your district as well. So that's first and foremost my mission as a district councilor is obviously your constituents in your district. But we have this issues on a city-wide level as well. In mine, I like to put on the forefront is the economic development. I've talked a lot today about buildings and development, which is very, very important to building the tax base. Because I alluded to earlier, property taxes are soaring. When increases compounded with values going up, assessed values increasing, results in a pretty hefty tax, and I don't deny that. So I try my best to offset that by being very aggressive and creating new tax growth to help the taxpayers. That is my citywide mission, to get them some relief. That's what I can do. I can't, every year, and you're going to find this out, Lindsay, you're going to have fixed costs. In other words, expected increases, right?
Yep.
Health insurance, soaring. Well, you can't control that. Increases, your DPW workers are going to go up 3% every year practically. You can't control that. That's just a couple. Utilities, right? They're not only going to one direction, just like your gas and electric going up at home. Well, it's the same way for the city too, right? So we're going to have to meet increases every year that are out of our control. We're going to try and manage them the best we can. But so what I want to do is again focus on development, and we got a lot of good things in the pipeline with the Front Runner City project, the Hamilton Canal, the MBTA zone right here. That I'm going to stay on DPD officials to make sure a lot of these projects cross the finish line, get the tax base going. We really have to focus on that.
Yeah.
So that's my mission on a citywide level.
I got some comments from the audience, and this first one's directed to Lindsay. Hi, John. Question for the candidate. Why should we vote for her if she hasn't taken the time to vote in other election other than 2020 presidential election? No town, state, or national?
Yeah, this has been one of my biggest questions, and I'm very honest and open with people. I wasn't involved previously. To be frank, when I was living in the city, I was in public accounting for the first almost 6 years of my career, and that pretty much took over my whole life. Anybody, who has worked in public accounting, it's long weeks. That's pretty much was my focus, was really getting my career, up and running. I think this sentiment is because I wasn't involved, why am I getting involved now? And I think if everybody followed that, nobody would ever get involved. I'm here now. I will be here for a long time. My previous uninvolvement, I own up to it. I wasn't, and I am now, and that's all I can do is moving forward. I will be here and I'll be involved.
Moving right along.
very
Well, I
good.
think
Way
you
to-
brought some issues up.
Way
that
to own up to it. That's great. Now, we lived in Boston for a number of years too?
Yeah. Right after
Eileen
college.
Well, that
I just came
explains,
back
yeah.
to town 2.5 years ago.
Right, yeah, okay,
School
all right.
committee woman Eileen Del Rossi says it's called restore justice, but with no continued care. It's a wild card. Great ideas, but completely unfunded. And this came from
But I don't understand what
YouTube,
we're
so it's a
talking
little bit behind the time here.
Oh, okay. I wonder what issue it was. Well, thank you, Eileen.
And then great show today. Thanks to Linda Guest for getting up extra early. Good luck this weekend, Lindsay.
Thank you.
And
Thank
the
you.
last one is great show today. Good luck to the panel running. And,
Thank you.
Well, just putting your name on the ballot. I've been there.
Then I got the last one for today. Blah, blah, blah. Higher real estate taxes. That's from DW.
Yeah.
Well, I try to
Well-
explain it the best I can. I hope they can understand my message, what I'm trying to accomplish here.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to offset high taxes.
Well, she says you
And-
got to start somewhere.
Yeah, I agree. She was in school for in Boston. I understand that.
Yeah, I was prioritizing other things, but,
Yeah, right.
I'm evolved now. I'm definitely more established in my life where I am. I mentioned I just got married, this past year I was very busy planning the wedding and everything, but, I'm looking forward now. I'm feeling more stable in my life, and this is the time for me
You're
to
very
do it.
young.
Now you dug in, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like I
There
said,
you go.
we bought a house, we're invested in Tewksbury. We have always have been, but now,
Yeah.
we have our own home in town. We're gonna raise our family there. Tewksbury means a lot to me and to my whole family, so.
And that's what you want to nurture in a community. You want to
Lindsay,
nurture people
what's your
your
real
age.
job?
Right now?
Yeah.
I'm a CPA, so I was a public accounting, I left public accounting, but I still do, I was a tax accountant, and now I'm a book accountant. I do fund accounting.
So you work for a private company, you work in government?
I work private.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Oh, we love to hear that.
Yeah,
Well, that's a good trait to carry to the select board, because at a local
Oh.
level, you got to live within your means. We're not the federal government. We can't just write,
Print
keep
it.
writing out checks, money we don't have. So
Can't just print it like the government does.
Nope, that's
like the
correct.
feds.
So you need to live within your means, and that goes for all departments that you're going to be responsible for, that they have to do the same. So it's a good trait to bring to the floor, really is.
Well, I want to thank both of you for getting up and being in here with me. It's not that easy.
You know
People
what-
think that we just appear, we don't. I appreciate anybody that comes in and you put yourself on the line. And Corey's been here many, many times, and I'm very grateful. And
Love coming on City
so
Life,
Thank
yeah.
you for coming
Yes,
in
thank
with
you
me.
so much for
I
having
hope
me.
you will continue. David Robson I had on when he ran, and I had Mike Dillon on all the time,
Yep.
who was on the school committee and all. And so I hope that regardless, whether you win or lose, that you will continue to come in with me and talk and let us know
I
what's
would
going
love
on.
to. I would love to. This
Yeah.
has been fun. It really
Yeah,
has.
you'll get a lot of
How does
feedback.
Pot's getting out of bed extra early? That's the hardest.
Well, when the summer
No
comes, it's
problem.
easier.
Yeah.
It was when the
Yeah,
I would agree.
having to be pitch black was
Whew.
tough, but.
Yeah, you should have been here in the cold winter, coming into all the ice.
Yeah.
It was very challenging. So, but I have to say, I thought Lowell did a pretty good job this year. You did a good job with your roads.
We're still addressing potholes, we're still working
Well,
on it.
everybody is.
Yeah, we have that issue in town.
Yes,
What a
everybody
year,
has that.
yeah.
That's because of that horrible winter we had. It was so
Yep.
bloody cold.
Tomorrow City Life, Evelyn Thorne's going to be the host. Bob Hoey will be here. Sam Chase will be here. And John Moses is coming too. That's tomorrow City Life. Time is shot, Lynn. You got like
Spring
20
is here.
seconds.
I have robins in my yard. My crocuses are up.
Oh,
So-
I love when things come to life. This
Yeah.
is my favorite time of year.
I agree with
Oh,
you.
for
I
sure.
agree
Everything
with you.
comes back to
Everything's
green.
fresh,
Yep.
and
Oh,
and I wish
I
you a
love
fresh
flowers.
start. I wish you success. And
Corey, we'll see you at your party. And
yes, I
I
will
hope
see you
so.
at
Hope
your
to see
party.
everybody.
Everyone else.
Thank you for watching.
Say goodbye, kids.